I think where we're seeing this within the programmatic space and as an industry in media and telco space as well is this next gen customer experience around data monetization, data marketplaces, collaboration, and how and then I'd also say that the move towards higher value items within the sort of value chain, and that's where we're seeing the likes of the clean rooms that we're discussing as sort of future solutions to come to the forefront. We're actively speaking to our customers, and it's something that I know that MiQ have been pushing us on with bringing a clean room solution to market, and I know there's some discussions going on around that. I think there's also been, you hold a wealth of data, and I know there's some complexity on the data providers and the publishers that you get that data from. But if there's a big angle to really explore, and I'd give some advice to MiQ to be looking at, is how do you unlock the value within the data insights that you are already providing and monetize that potentially outside of your own space right now as well. Because every time we get on calls with customers across industries, they are looking for more what we call as alpha, differentiation, whether that be financial services or supply chain managers. They're looking to try and get an edge and further insight into what the demands are. You have got that insight into what market trends are, what is going into that, and how you could potentially market that and monetize that as an asset. And there might be a revenue share model between you and your publishers, etc. But your uniqueness into the insight that you can provide and combine data sets, I think is going to be highly valuable going forwards. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're seeing organizations do, is transform from data as a cost center and IT as a cost center into monetization and value out of data. I think that's where we'll see the evolution go in the next 3 years within the data space.
So I guess maybe before I'm going to look forward and share some of the trends with you, I think it's interesting to see where Databricks has come from and where we're going. So, if you spoke to people 3 or 4 years ago, Databricks was very much seen as, you're the Spark company. It was the Spark Summit. Everything was about Spark and the technology. But then we became the data and AI company. And as part of that, we created the Lakehouse category. And that was because we saw that in order to be able to democratize data for everyone, to build AI into every data product, we needed to make this accessible to everyone. So, in the simplest of terms, when you look at the Lakehouse, it's really a convergence of data warehousing and data lakes, but it makes all that data available, quality data that's governed for AI applications. But there was still a challenge with that, which is now being addressed by the current trend. If you look at an overall enterprise where you have a lakehouse, you have all that data, the reality is that was accessible to most people who could program in Python or SQL. Otherwise, it was quite challenging. And I think that's where we're starting to see the trend of, we know this session isn't going to go without mentioning LLMs. I think that is where we're really seeing the trend with LLMs coming into play now, where through natural language, that's going to be accessible to everyone. I did want to share some insights with you. About a month ago, I was part of an exec forum with about 25 different CEOs, CTOs in the UK. And it was looking at how they were going to adopt LLMs. And they actually, they were very excited about LLMs, but it was quite interesting to hear how they were approaching it. So first of all, it was very much from a top-down aspect. So it was like, this is not going to be a data science experiment. We actually need to have a business case that's justified for us to invest time, in building and training an LLM. I think the other trend we saw was that, as we introduce LLMs, there is going to be a heightened focus, and all of these execs mentioned it around, governance, privacy, data security. Those are key trends they're going to be looking at. So there's a lot of focus in those areas at the moment, but we see that actually it's going to increase, in the coming years. I think, again, I can't have this conversation without mentioning Gen AI. And I think it's quite interesting because to me, AI's been around for a while, and it was like, let's get all that intelligence to help us make decisions. but now we actually want AI to generate content for us. And I think we're going to see a trend where there's going to be a big focus on ethical AI, because all it takes is one person with some ill intent, or someone even to accidentally put something into one of these models, you know, and you can end up with some, you know, really unfortunate consequences. And we've seen this already in Europe in particular, where there's actually court cases at the moment because of actions people have taken as a result of some of the responses they got. So I think we will see a lot of regulation around AI and the ethical use of AI. I think from a Databricks perspective, again, you know, where we're headed, where the trend is going, we did acquire Mosaic ML. I think it was announced maybe about 2 weeks ago officially now, and that will be very much to support us and our customers in building out these Gen AI models. Mosaic ML are a company who have invested a lot in helping to optimize the hardware, the software engineering processes around, you know, customizing, training your own LLMs, because that can be, as we know, very expensive and very time consuming. So we will see a lot more coming out of that. And I think the other trend I see, which is quite interesting, as companies become more data forward, is a change in the skill mix of resources. So when I've looked, you know, lots of companies I've worked on, and I think we probably see this at Media IQ as well, you know, we have data engineers, we have data scientists, we have ML engineers, you've got data analysts. What we're seeing is in lots of places now, people are adopting maybe they're building programs, and it's nearly like you're running a sprint, but you expect everyone on that team to have acquired skills across the different areas, which actually makes people very valuable as resources, because, you know, you've got good data engineering capabilities, you've got good ML capabilities, you know, you're able to train, build your own LLM. So, you know, we're actually starting to see that shift a little bit in companies that are very data forward, to mix up the skills that their resources have. I think what's just interesting there is that I've seen people are really excited about it, but they're taking a more structured approach to it that they may have done with other buzzwords or great ideas before. And this is where I think the fact that, you know, you're saying, this is great, but let's actually have a really well-defined business case that will bring value to our business before we invest a lot of time and effort in, you know, having resources work on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really key, like, you know, in terms of not just jumping onto the hype, but, you know, really take a step back and look at how is it that these things are going to add value. It reminds me of, you know, one of the team members shared the Gartner hype cycle tied around this whole practice, and it's unbelievable to see how many different types of intelligences exist. You know, Gen AI is one of those things. It's like as if intelligence never existed before. Yeah. So you know, we'll probably need to give it some time for things to settle down, and meanwhile we'll look to explore what works, what doesn't work. Yeah. So yeah. Really important for us to place ourselves in terms of how we could outlast all the headwinds and everything. You know, how do we future-proof ourselves? You know, because it's really key, because when you look at MiQ per se, right? You know, we have, like I mentioned, we've been around since the dawn of Programmatic, and we have been growing, and we have been cash positive since day one, since inception. So which really means that, you know, we really need to be able to scale and be able to thrive out there, and that is absolutely possible only if we can be on the leading edge of what we really need to be doing in terms of the problem space, and in terms of how we are able to leverage our partners. Right, because within our space, like I mentioned before, data is really key. The big data platform, big data ecosystem is absolutely key, and that's where Databricks is a key backbone for us. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, we work with Databricks on quite a few avenues and different opportunities, and for us to scale as well, we really need to make sure that we look at opportunities across people, process, and technology per se. And the partnership with Databricks is no different. And in terms of working with them, it's more of learning from them, because there are certain things that we are not the experts. You know, let's be honest. You know, we want to acquire that skill set, and because of where they are placing themselves in terms of being the data and the AI company, they have the opportunity to be able to work with all the other key leaders in the space in terms of who leverage this platform. So they are able to bring that expertise. So one such initiative that we are working on currently is around MLOps as a practice, adopting that, because we want to get to a point, or we want to evolve from being in ML experimentation to ML operationalization. So we realize that this is something that we need to have in our arsenal to be able to scale, to be able to grow, and really bring in AI as a first-class citizen. Have that robust AI system built on top of our data ecosystem. So that's something that we are working on, and we mentioned about the governance side of things. With the data being fragmented, being available across many different avenues in many different formats, it's really important to bring all that together and at least synthetically to understand what this really means. What do we have? How our stakeholders can really leverage that. So that is an area that we have been working, and we want to push it to the next level in terms of how do we future-proof that, so it's easier for discoverability aspect, lineage aspect, quality aspect, and make things available, right? So those are the different ways by which we are working with Databricks on an ongoing basis.
Right.
I mentioned about how ubiquitous this ecosystem is, and how pretty much everybody out there, the proliferation of devices and how much content we consume, it touches everybody out there, right? Whoever is connected, they are leveraging some bit of the ad tech ecosystem. It's behind the scenes, but albeit plays a critical role in terms of how it powers the internet, how it powers most of the digital content out there. Case in point, the likes of Netflix and Hotstar moving to more of an ad-funded model. So this is here to stay. It is an ever-evolving field. It is a pretty complex field, and with a good load of regulations and stuff, all for the right reasons coming in. That's where the whole challenge is. Again, the sheer scale, the complexity part is where it provides the opportunity for folks to work on things, that's truly next gen, to be able to make things, take things to the next level, or make things better. So.
It's the breadth and exposure that you get to the end-to-end analytics, AI governance piece within the programmatic space. We've talked about here in terms of onboarding some of the biggest data sets in the world, to then processing those and gaining insights into those, and then to delivering the content and seeing that end to end. I don't think there's a lot of industries that work so closely along that value chain, and that you can directly see the impact of the data coming in to the output of that. So I think in terms of getting a start in an industry that is going to set you up for future, the programmatic space is really at the forefront of pushing the boundaries, but also of exposing you to all areas of the data chain.
And I do a lot of hiring as well, and I'm always, if somebody's interested in a career, I'm like, go speak to someone who's in that industry, so if somebody's watching this or they're looking at something on LinkedIn, reach out to someone working in the programmatic space already and understand what it's like to live a day in their shoes, so to speak, because that gives you great insight into what you're going to be exposed to if you join that industry. I think also understand the use case is really important. I think, Krish, you mentioned when you joined this industry, you didn't know a lot about it. When I started working with Media IQ, I was probably similar. And then you realize, you touch everybody's lives. We're all sitting there and an ad pops on at halftime, in the Super Bowl or something. You're like, how did that happen? And, some of it's probably, Media IQ behind the scenes. So I think understand the use cases, understand what people do on a day-to-day basis. And then, finally, I would say, again, having spent time with a lot of the teams here over the last day, you can definitely see, how close you are to the technology, how you're pushing it to the limits, so it will prepare you for a career in any other industry, trust me. And I think I love the fact that you know, we've had so many people present to us over the last kind of 24 hours. Well, look, we kind of had this challenge, but we've come up with a great solution. What do you think of this? So it's very forward thinking as well. So it's exciting. I don't think 2 days are probably ever going to be the same in this industry. So yeah, and again, you know, I'll just say anyone who's interested, go for it. You never know.
Again, on the people side of things, is it's not something you always take at face value when you read a CV or a job description. But what you get to work in this space, and I see from, I've been part of the partnership for nearly 4 years now with MiQ, is the passion and the people. And so it is the passion that people have for this space, to solving those problems and getting to solutions within that. And I think that isn't always evident, again, in other industries. I work across a breadth of those, and the passion really comes out in this industry in particular. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Krish. Cheers.